Hello, this is the ATL show, Abundant Tribe Leaders, and today we have Jay Fiset, one of the most amazing loved leaders in the coaching industry and mastermind industry. I'm going to hand it over to John Block, who is my co-host on the show, and we can introduce Jay Fiset.
I met Jay Fiset around 2016 at a Movement Makers Playground hosted by AG Morishita, and I was struck by there was a specific moment in which AG was making an offer from stage, and AG was really underpricing his offer, and then Jay just yells from the back of the room saying, "No, you're way underselling yourself."
I don't remember doing that.
Right? I won't stand for this, AG. I care too much about you, brother. And that to me just reflects the quality man that Jay is. No one else was saying this, to be clear. Jay was a lone voice saying, I will not let you devalue yourself. Since then, we have been to many events Jay has done. Jay was our mentor as we were coming together, Monty and I, to create our business, which has since become Abundant Tribe Leader. He truly is the sole godfather behind us as a company and brand. And we'll be diving into a fascinating conversation about tribal leadership and what Jay is up to nowadays. I'll go ahead and read his official bio.
It's more of a smart-ass bio, but it's the only one I have.
All right, the smart-ass bio. Best-selling author, student of human nature, avid outdoorsman at 5-star hotels, speaks fluent smart-ass, psychedelic advocate, can see and reflect your life mission in 5 minutes flat. Yes. Loves having 2 sons so he can play with their toys. Still fantasizes about his wife after 35 years. Yes, he's very vocal about that. Loves ideas, but loves results even more. Yes. Can't stand the whole talk, no action. Loves results. Can simultaneously laugh and cry for different reasons at the same time. I have witnessed that. Jay says, I am dedicated to instigating a global movement of conscious creators and supporting people to organize their life and resources around their passions and gifts. He is the founder of Creators Code, Mastermind of Millions, JVology, Connection Experience, and more. So we're so honored to have you, Jay Fiset.
Hey, thank you for having me. I love hanging out with the two of you, and it is always fun, valuable, and entertaining.
Yeah, it's never short of entertaining. So, given that this show, and just to have everyone on the same page, why are we doing this? This show is to help you grow your career as an abundant tribe leader. We define a tribe leader as an individual who hosts events, unifies humanity, and has an ongoing tribe that then come together again and again and standing for greater wealth, health, and spirituality in the world. These are areas in which the true essence of those three, wealth, health, and spirituality, have been limited for various reasons, whether it's education system, whether it's our healthcare system, whether it's the forces out there that I won't go into detail right now that have stopped the true wealth, true health, and true spirituality. So we're here to showcase our allies, our mentors, those who we see paving the way for other leaders to emerge in service of wealth, health, and spirituality. So first question we'd love to ask you, Jay, is what do you love about being a tribe leader?
Oh, goodness. I'm gonna answer it in an indirect manner, which is this. Short version is that it supports me being who I am. And what I mean by that is at my core, I'm incredibly curious. So learning is one of the most important things in the universe. I never, ever feel like I've learned something until I can actually build it. So the theoretical knowledge is kind of meh to me. So I learn, I build, and then I have the opportunity to teach. And tribes and communities have, honestly, since I was a teenager, have come to me basically saying, so how'd you do that? And then I get the privilege of teaching them what I just learned and discovered myself. So it really is in the simplest of terms, it is the living of my mission and the expression of how I'm wired.
Mm. And one thing that we were so inspired, because we came to the Mastermind of Millions event, which is a signature event you've been doing for how many years?
10 or 12, off and on, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. And what we love so much is that it was such a breath of fresh air from the typical guru space, which is all about the positioning of one as the expert, come learn from me, I'm the know-it-all, and then this sort of pissing contest that happens online and on stages. And it was so refreshing to hear, like, oh, here's someone who's not playing that game, someone who really is putting the leadership of others first and the community first, and the magic that happens within the container. Would love to know how you keyed in on that. That was going to be your unique angle. And was it a conscious departure from what everyone else was doing in the coaching space?
I wouldn't say so. I think that really comes through, what I'm going to call my first, quote, real business, which was a personal development company that I led in Canada for the better part of 35 years, first under the brand of Personal Best Seminars and then under the brand of the Creator's Code. And I think that just the simple training context and container of that organization was really about authenticity, was about doing our best to walk the talk, and was about there is only one measure of if what you're doing is valuable, and that is, do the people, the community, the clients, the tribe evolve, grow, change, and create meaningful results and experiences in their life. So for 30 years, that was the only way in which success was measured. So when I entered the sort of what I'm going to call the coaching industry, the digital marketing industry, the training and education, that whole world, it was like I had a bit of a tough time at the beginning. It's like, I'm not really sure what they're doing there, but I don't like it, so I'm just going to do my thing. So it was far less sort of intentional positioning and far more the product of the training and the support and the organization that I built for over a quarter century prior. And I can't not be me, I guess is the best way to put that.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing you say is that this commitment to get results, which, hello, everyone should have that commitment. We use this doctor-patient analogy at our events where the purpose of the doctor is to treat the patient to the fullest, not to close as many sales and make as much money to support their lifestyle of that doctor. Like the Dharma higher purpose is to treat. That's what you're here for. So I hear you saying that in terms of the client results. Did you determine that better client results could be achieved in a mastermind format versus the typical expert role?
Oh, that's a really good question, John. I'm going to argue that both have a place. But there comes a time where I think in almost any entrepreneur's evolution, where it becomes perfectly clear, I know what to do. I'm having difficulty executing that, whether that's my own consciousness and my own patterns and my own difficulties, and or my lack of network connection, support, and sort of infrastructure. So, I think both have a place. And I think earlier on in people's entrepreneurial journeys, it's like you need some actual basic fundamentals, and those are probably best learned in a direct relationship with somebody who actually knows, who's built 7 businesses, who's, like there's a time and a place for that. But as the entrepreneur evolves and becomes more mature and has a few successes and a few shit shows, I don't know, I have more than my fair share, but as they mature and evolve through the wins and the losses, it really becomes far less about the what should I do and far more about what is the best strategy to get this done? Who, not how. What is the community through which I want to, number one, be fed and fueled and filled? And what is the communities in which I can have the greatest impact to serve, support, and contribute to? And that to me is where this whole model of masterminds and tribes and leadership, the abundant tribe leader, I love that grounding. It's like, that's a different level of play that I just quite frankly love more. Now, having said that, I love that more because I'm old. I've been an entrepreneur since I was, quite literally 9 years old, 10 years old, buying my first bicycles and motorcycles and skidoos and all those sorts of things. So, I've been 45 years later, plus or minus, I'm sort of at the spot of, I don't really need more training. What I need is relationships. What I need is community. What I need is inspiration. What I need is to be filled by people that I want to also fill, to collaborate and connect at a deeper level. And that, once the foundation is built, is what moves the needle the most in my experience, and and in my tribe's experience.
Yeah. Were there some formative experiences you had where you yourself were a tribe member and it just really like worked so well for you to be a part of someone else's tribe?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, and I have to tell the truth about this, is that much of my I'm going to say much, maybe most of my younger years, I wasn't a very good follower. And much to my expense, to be very clear about this. Like I had a propensity to make things far harder than they needed to be, because I needed to do it on my own and figure it out on my own. So I would say that really, some of my best experiences of that, came through some mastermind communities, came through a friend of mine, Colin, who led a premium mastermind that I joined, trying to really let myself be supported in a more diligent and conscious manner. So I really think, the core of the answer to your question is that when I got in a room of people like me who were, I'm going to say, too independent, too, and this, I don't mean this about me, but too successful, meaning that we'd learned a magic trick in a particular area and thought that we'd done a pretty damn good job, not realizing necessarily that there's about 10,000 other areas in which we could enhance or improve. But once I got into a room where there was a bunch of us who had some pretty significant success in what I'm going to call some pretty narrow areas, and recognizing and seeing how shitty we were at genuinely asking for and receiving and accepting support.
So for you at that time, was it personal best seminars that you had found the success in?
No, well, yes, that was the thing. We ran arguably the largest personal development organization in Canada for, at that stage of the game, a couple of decades. So that was our sort of magic trick. But in seeing both the strengths and the limitations of this particular group of people, it was like, good Lord, I have got to get better at this. Like, I have got to put down the sword. I've got to ask questions. What's the easiest, most direct and joyful route to this, instead of, what can I endure? How can I, invent a new wheel and make it rounder? How would I just go get a good round wheel and get to work? It really was this shift of being willing to receive support and acknowledging, yes, I got a pretty good magic trick and I have success here, but there's a whole bunch more that I am missing and that I need to lean into, or I want to lean into. Does that answer your question, John? Yeah, it's a bit of a weird answer.
Yes, any specifics of how you shifted, how you ran your business, how you just led life?
Could you say it one more time? You cut out just a bit for me.
How specifically did you shift? Like how you ran your business, how you maybe diversified as an entrepreneur, or some of those shifts?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll tell you the declaration first, because I think the declaration was actually more important than the hows. After being in that community for a little while, I wrote a note in our shared board, which was a declaration of what I wanted to bring and how I wanted to show up in that community, which was, and there was lots of words, so I'll just summarize it, which was this, is that it was my aim to let myself be supported by that group and by that community in the same way I let my mom support me. Because the truth is, in my world, other than my mom and my dear wife, my sisters, and in terms of direct family members, a couple of my dearest friends who we will carry each other out, we'll be each other's pallbearers. Outside of that little, they qualified, I really didn't let anyone else support me. And so this declaration of my job here and why I'm here is to shift my beliefs and to shift my way of being and to expand my capacity to receive support from this group and from others in the same way I let my mom support me. And that was the declaration that led to a multitude of transformations that we talk about for days.
I love that. So I remember you had said that you have a tribe where you guys even keep a pot of money where it kind of rotates when there is need, like 50K, 100K, and there's so much trust that it just wire goes out and then wire goes back in. Like it's just.
Let's be clear that there's an email that says who has it, how long they'll have it, what the interest is. It's just an email. It's not like we're not running to the lawyer. There's an email, and then the money gets moved. Yes.
Wow. Like that level of support and trust is what a true tribe does, right? Like we're truly rising together in different ways, not just like coaching industry where you give me all the money you got, like down to the penny in your account, and then it's tough. It's tough. So why are you so attracted to tribes and transformation?
Oh, goodness. You know, I guess I would say I got bitten. I mean, you know, like I landed in my first personal development, personal transformation course, you know, when I was about 19 years old. And I landed there, quote, accidentally. I thought I was going to a sales training program. Like, and I remember sitting there listening to this woman at the front of the room talking at the time all this stupid shit about beliefs and attitude and energy. And I'm like, lady, would you be quiet and like get to the closing techniques? I'm here to learn how to sell. You know, and it was a 5-day course. And at the end of day one, it's like, well, they better be talking about selling tomorrow. At the end of day two, it's like, maybe this isn't a sales course. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
That's right. You got tricked.
Oh man. And then day three, there's this particular exercise and activity, and I'm all pissed off about it. So I'm like, and she asked me a question. I start crying. I hadn't cried in like 12 years. I'm like, oh my God, I'm leaking. Like, what is going on? So I think that the answer to the first question is simply this, is that at a very young age, and I was sort of independent on my own from the time I was 12. So I clearly created some coping mechanisms and strategies that weren't necessarily best practices or made with a mature and evolved mind. So by the time I find myself in this transformational program at 19, it altered who I thought I was. It altered how I showed up in the world. It altered how I thought I could play and participate in the world. And I left that course a different human being, closer aligned to who I really am than the coping mechanisms that unfolded from being independent since I was 12. And so and ever since then, it's just been this, I'm going to call it evolution and unfolding and continuing to learn, build, and teach in terms of what does that mean to me? What does that mean to the world? All those things. So that's part one. And then part two, like going back to your question of why I'm attracted to tribes. There's no nice way of saying this, but so I'll just spit it out, is that no change in a human being is actually real unless that change can be lived into in a community, in a family, in a relationship, in a tribe. Otherwise, it's a theoretical bullshit idea. It's like I could go and meditate on the mountains and maybe I'd be the most conscious human being on that mountain. But honest to goodness, you will never know unless I can bring that consciousness to play, to create, to collaborate, to connect, to contribute in community, in relationships, because that's the only place that you actually know. So it's consistent with my idea of learn, build, teach. It's like I might learn something, I might build this perception and this model about myself and the world, but the truth of the matter is I don't really know until I can actually build it and teach it to another human being and they could go and replicate that. That's when I would know. So tribes are necessary for that. It's the test of, is the change real? It's the test of, does the idea count? It's the test of, does this make a difference in my life, in the life of my dear love, in the life of my community and my tribe?
I love that, how deep you go into this concept. And that's why everywhere we go, Jay Fiset is one of the most loved tribe leaders that we over and over.
Well, and I bribe people for that too, though.
Let's talk about what kind of bribes are available. Is it a pill? Is it like what forms are available?
Psychedelic transition. I was wondering when it was coming. I do want to speak though about where it becomes real with tribe, because it is one of the most dispiriting, disheartening things in life when you attend a 3-day seminar, have the breakthrough of a lifetime, and there's no tribe to plug into. And then they might encourage you to go back to your families, enroll them. So you see this in network marketing and many personal development seminars. And they look at you like you just pounded the Kool-Aid and you're crazy and you joined a cult and you're now an alien to them.
They might not be wrong in any of those things, by the way. Sorry, I just had to.
But it's all perspective. And in that moment, you feel like you had your red pill experience. I see reality for the first time. I want to share this reality with you. And then there's no one to share it with. So that's when I decided that, because I had some clients who would go through my 3-day seminars and then they had this experience and I didn't know what to say other than like get a new family. So in reality, that's what we ended up creating, was a new soul family for them to be a part of. And that's a term that we really use a lot, is this soul family. Like, these are the people who get you, who see you, who don't just love you the way that your blood family, your spouse loves you, I suppose. They can really, truly see you and get you. And for me, that's the part that really lights me up. And I'm guessing you feel similarly, Jay?
Well, yes, with a caveat. And the caveat is this. And I am absolutely not a fan of the network marketing, personal development stuff. It's like, oh, bring your tribe. It's like, sure, if that's aligned and all those things, go to town. But as a marketing business model, not a fan. But there's an interesting piece about this, about, so I go back to my family and my family doesn't want to hear it. There's also another side to that, and this goes back to this larger idea of creating tribes and creating community and all those pieces, is that often the family isn't interested in hearing about it because it is the latest harebrained idea or experience. They have been dealing with this person's inconsistencies and lack of application and integration, not for a day or a weekend or a 3-day process. They've been dealing with it for a year, 5 years, 10 years, a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. And it's just one more piece of bullshit to get put on the pile. So my response to that was always, ask your family, ask your loved one, ask your wife, ask your husband, what would make this real to you? What change in me would you need to witness? Could we actually put on the table that I could demonstrate to you that this is actually legitimate and real, and I am dedicated to creating this result? Because I acknowledge I have screwed things up. Man, I got a long list of that. I acknowledge I've said things that I didn't follow through on. I acknowledge all those pieces. So there's the caveat is, yes, go find a new family and get the feedback from the people who actually know who you are and what you've struggled with and what has been strong and what has been weak, and see, can you lean into a change that they recognize and see? And that actually can be one of the greatest measures in the entire universe. Now, let's be clear about this. I'm not suggesting that you go back to an abusive circumstance where somebody, like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fundamental nature of family, which is they will still see, I was the youngest kid. They saw me as the young, wild rebel getting in trouble. Like, there was a profile for me, right? And that profile was not inaccurate. And it took, I took the courses at 19. I ended up buying the company at 22. And by the time I was 24, every single person, with the exception of my dad, in my family worked with and for me.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate what you're saying. I was being a little cheeky and I said, well, just get a new family. This is your soul family from here on. That this gap between those who get it and those who don't is another form of polarization, frankly, in humanity. Those who are on the spiritual personal development track and those who are not. And then those spiritual folks can be so caught up in, well, I can't have anyone drag my vibration down. Their energy I can't be around. Their whole self is so friggin' sensitive. And there's a way to bridge that. And I love that real world, like, I'm on the hook now. What would you need to see from me in order to demonstrate this is real? And then the unity and actual, like, them getting enrolled in this new possibility for who you are, what this training could actually bring to their life. That's where it becomes real.
Yeah. So to me, it's a both and I just had to express that caveat because, and I know you're being a little cheeky, but after decades in this business, oftentimes the judgment of our family and those that are closest to us is not unfounded. Like, it might feel unfair, it might hurt a little bit, it might be a little heartbreaking, but it's not unfounded. So let's lean into that, because that can be as valuable as the inspirational tribe that says, and we are going to lift one another together, and we are going to raise one another's vibration, all the rest of it. And you know what? I'm still DNA connected to these folks. I'm still soul connected to these folks. I'm still a result of that environment. I still have a love and an obligation in some way, shape, or form with and to them. What's my spot there? Anyway, I'll stop talking about that. It's just to me, it's a really big both and.
Yeah, truly.
I agree. Yeah, you can love from distance and also be there when needed, and then also create like a soul family with your tribe, and then immerse yourself, and then now they could see, and then all the gaps start bridging, and then there's more unity through that.
Yeah.
So let's move towards what you're excited about nowadays and what you'll be bringing to our next abundance retreat.
Well, I'm excited about a great number of things, but as you both know, my dear wife and I went and got certified as psychedelic guides a couple of years ago. We've been building a psychedelic business primarily aimed at supporting couples to increase intimacy and connection with the intentional and supported use of medicine. And we have recently expanded into serving and supporting entrepreneurial groups through masterminds utilizing a very specific medicine that is one of the most powerful, number one, energy and vibration raising and creative vision expanding medicines in the entire universe. And I am incredibly excited to be able to come and to share the depth of masterminds. And I've been running masterminds for 35 years. And I can tell you that this experience has been the most deep, powerful, meaningful, and fast moving in terms of this was the idea, this was the steps, this is what got done, and this is what we've created that I have ever seen. And I am spectacularly excited to share it with you and your tribe.
Yeah, I noticed that now. Just to reflect back, that in the seminar space, there have been a large faction of people, myself and Monty included. We've done lots of seminars, and things were not shifting as quickly as we would like. We were not getting the results, and we're high action people, both of us. There was just something internally.
By the way, that's the biggest understatement in the universe. The two of you are high action people. We show up and it's like, you give me the list of the stuff that you're doing. And it's like, good God, my head hurts already. So yeah, we are high action people.
Right. And even for us, like, we still get in our own way. I know I do at times. And there's some like fear that's like subconscious. And then having done the journey with you and Corey, and just coming from pure spirit and pure love. And it's one of those, like, until you have that experience, it's hard to articulate. It's like, what's it like to be in outer space, right? Well, only fellow astronauts can really connect about that. And yet it's a very real experience, obviously, to have. And for us, we really look to that night as the birth of us as business partners. Would you say that's true, Monty?
Absolutely. The formerly called Red Pill Experience was born. And, you know, we went from 0 to where we are now in just short 13 months. But that night when we truly did the whole mastermind on this, that's when it was born, and look where we are at. So we're super excited that now on the 14th month of this journey, we're able to now do it with our tribe and immerse in the whole experience. Where you're coming, we're like, wow, our mentor actually is coming to see what we're doing and what we've created, right? Like,
I'm so excited.
It's a blessed position to be in.
Yeah. What would you say, just to address any concerns someone might have about the D word, like, I don't do drugs, and how would you speak to that?
Well, I think first and foremost, I want to say, good Lord, I get that. I genuinely get that. You know, Corey and I'll just sort of give a chapter title of our experience. So Corey and I are high school sweethearts. We courted, well, we were in a relationship, not necessarily courted. We were in a relationship for about 10 years, not always intimate, not always primary. We dated other people and all those sorts of things. Thank goodness to have broader experience. But we were always in relationship. And so that was a decade. And then as we were heading towards our 25th wedding anniversary, we didn't think we were going to make it. Like the odds were strong that this parallel life thing, and nothing was terrible, but nothing was good. You know, it was just like coping. And while we were trying to, quote, heal our relationship, save ourselves, we were invited to participate in psychedelic medicine for a little over 5 years. And every single time we were invited, we were like, no, we don't do that shit. We're not putting a chemical in our body. We're not doing, like, if we can't do it in our conscious state, it's not worth doing, because like we just had all of these stories, which were all fundamentally based on fear of it's not safe.
Meanwhile, anyone who knows you for like 5 minutes knows you enjoy your red wine.
No
problem with that.
That's totally fine, because I can go down to the store and get it. This shit you got to get off. You know, like the stories and the inconsistencies and incongruities around it are just so bonkers. That said, I would never ever buy any medicine off the street or without, like, through our certification, we get a secret handshake to the same lab that supplies the Canadian government when they're doing MDMA assisted therapy for first responders and PTSD and all those sorts of things. So, and frankly, I would stop using psychedelics if I had to get it from a different source that wasn't 1000% safe and certified, and like, I just wouldn't. I'm not willing to ever take that risk, which was part of my story leading up to the 5 years. So anyway, here's the point is, I understand you being scared, and I understand it seeming insane, and I understand it being so far outside the box that there is no box. But here's the other side to it, which is the science is irrefutable in terms of the difference that psychedelics can make when done wisely, safely, with proper intention, with proper set and setting, and with proper health, both mental and physical screening. When those pieces are in place, it is, quite frankly, safer than alcohol. There is a whole body of studies I'm happy to share with people that just demonstrate the degree of safety. It's like, you can't hurt yourself if you do all of those things. Just check the boxes. And if there's a box you can't check, then you don't do it, because safety is first. It's just as simple as that. So that's one piece about it. Then the next piece about it is this, is that you don't know what you don't know. And, you know, after Corey and I had the experience of actually utilizing medicine, the most consistent conversation we had for the next 2 years while COVID was on and we were reinventing our life and our marriage and ourselves was, oh my God, why did we wait so long? This has made such a positive difference. Like, seriously, we missed divorce. Like, we got grazed by the bullet divorce. Like, that's how close it was. And we could have had this experience. We could have had this support. We could have had this insight 5 years ago. And we went through that. Anyway, so one of the pieces that I would say to you is the difference between drugs and medicine is intentional use and support. This is not drugs. This is medicine. And if you choose to utilize medicine, we will do it safely. We will put all of the pieces in place. If it is not safe and appropriate for you, then you shouldn't do it, and I wouldn't participate in you doing it. Simple as that. It's like, we cover all of those pieces. And then there's a 3-prong process that I've been writing about that I'll just share, that is a little bit indirect to your question, but I think that it's important, is that there are really 3 elements if you're going to entertain using medicine. And the first one is this, is rational thought and science. Like, let's just put these ideas together. Like, do your homework, satisfy your rational brain. Do not leap into anything that you do not know and understand and have questions about. Like, there's an entire body of work that can satisfy that this makes sense. And just to be perfectly clear about this, is that if we fast forward 10 years, what is currently Ativan, Adderall, what is currently Adderall and Prozac and all those sorts of things, a bunch of those things are going to be replaced with psychedelics. Your grandparents who are in old folks' homes and those sorts of things, Instead of sedatives to keep them calm and relaxed, in 10 years, they're going to be on microdosing protocols that actually stimulate and create neurogenesis and reconnect their brains when they're having difficulties with dementia. Those things are coming. That is how it's going to be. This is going to be as common as air in the next 2 decades. So go do your research. So satisfy your rational brain. So that's point number one. Point number two is this. Have faith. So part of this, the entire exercise of using medicine, we have an introductory evening called Meet Your Inner Healer. And every one of us has an inner healer. And without going into the big, long, drawn-out process of it, is that your inner healer knows what is required for you to heal physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And the truth of the matter is that our society today gets in the way and blocks it. The 2-second example is, if you cut your finger and you needed stitches, you don't go to the doctor and the doctor stitches you together, lining up your fingerprint. That'd be goddamn near impossible. Could be done today, but it'd be damn near impossible. What the doctor does is cleans it, puts it together, maybe puts a bit of glue, maybe puts a couple of stitches in it, and makes sure that it's clean and dry so that the body recognizes what needs to be healed. Your DNA lines up your fingerprints, and ta-da, it's done. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to worry about it. You didn't have to get it under a microscope. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. Your body knows how to heal. That is also true of your spirit and your soul. But we muck it up over and over again with our head and our intellect. So have faith that within you there is this part of you called the inner healer. And psychedelics, when done properly and intentionally, opens the door for your inner healer to guide you to what is necessary for you to naturally heal and become more aligned. And then the third part is intention. Have a clear intention of what you'd like to create and experience and discover if you were to use the medicine. And when you have those 3 pieces in place, satisfy your rational brain, get really clear and have faith about you have the answers within you. We're just going to open that door, and have an intention around how you're going to do that and with who. It's one of the most transformational experiences in your life. Okay. That was a long answer, but
I love the 3-parter. It was perfect. And follow up on that, like, what have you seen? I mean, you're on big stages talking about this. So let's talk about the transformation that happened in the marriages that you've helped heal, because all of this is great in theory, but as you said, unless you start seeing it in your community and your tribes, it's not real. And of course, the results will speak for itself.
Yeah, marriages and more recently with entrepreneurs.
Yes, both of it.
Yeah. Oh, so I'll just babble. You jump in because I could go on a very, very long time for this. Okay. So the range of things that we see, hear, and experience is daunting. So we were just doing a follow-up integration session yesterday. A retired couple, love them dearly. They were doing a couples journey, which is a protocol that we invented that's quite beautiful. It's different than the connection experience. But literally in the last 7 days, he's lost or released 8 pounds, simply gone. And one of the things that I want you to understand is when those 3 pieces are in place that we talked about, and you intentionally use it, you have faith, and you've satisfied your brain, the process of intentionally using psychedelics is an alignment process. And what I want you to understand is that the 8 pounds that left his body is just an alignment process to who he is. He's not on a weight loss program. He's not changing up everything in the universe. It's just an alignment process, which brings me to something that I want to just say very, very clearly, which is if you're going to entertain healing through medicine, if you're going to entertain growing your business through medicine, if you're going to entertain transforming your relationship through medicine, here's what you must be prepared for. Alignment, whether you want it or not. And I'm being a little bit facetious with that, but it's actually true. So, for example, some people say it's like, well, the strangest thing happened to me is that I had this project and then I did medicine. It's like, I'm just not motivated to do that project. It's like, I just can't bring myself to it. And our question in follow-up is always like, so is the project aligned with what you know, feel, and believe the future of your life is? Well, no, I was just trying to make $75,000 so I could pay off this debt. And then it's like, well, here's what the medicine is telling you and this experience is telling you, is that wasn't aligned with your real purpose and why you're here anyway. So let's let that thing go. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Sorry, there's the higher wisdom that we can't possibly access because the programming is so deep, whether it's from the coaching industry, if you're a coach, and what you should be doing to position yourself, launch a podcast, write a book. This is all programming in some form that it's hard to discern how true it is, capital T, for you. And the medicine is a straight shot to that truth.
Exactly. So sometimes what happens is things that you thought were important do become not important at all. Things that you didn't know were important become incredibly important. And in our community, in our process, we just help people get themselves aligned. So anyway, that's the key point. So anyway, that 8 pounds was nothing but an alignment process. There's one couple who I dearly love, and this is a good example. He was terrified of doing medicine. One of those natural bodybuilders, incredibly fit, incredibly healthy, only puts good quality foods in his body, supplements like crazy, doesn't take painkillers, like he's like clean. Anyway, he was terrified about doing it, but as an act of love for his wife, he participated. And his words the next morning was this, is that we have been in therapy for over a decade, trying to create connection, trying to solve the problems so that we can be connected. And last night, with the intentional use of medicine support, we became connected, and in one night, solved all of our problems. They're gone. It's done. Finito. And this is interesting in the entrepreneurial space, a young couple, well, younger than Corey and I, a young couple who own a very cool company here in Alberta that had been struggling. Like it's been sort of like was hand to mouth for a bunch of years. They were really on parallel lives and then some. They are now on their second round of the ritual. Their sales for their company, last count, were up 600% higher. Way more profitable because they let go of a bunch of pieces, and they went from really having a sexless marriage to having incredible sex where like Corey literally gets texts like, I just had this incredible cervical orgasm that went from not having sex and not having orgasms to like being through the roof fulfilled and engaged and pleased and like and honest to goodness, I could just go on and on and on and on and on. We've had about 4 or 5 of our couples renew their vows. I had the privilege of renewing vows for a couple that went to Greece and renewed their vows in the ocean in Greece. And I guided them through that via Zoom, which was a beautiful experience. And to be, in terms of the range of folks that do this, they are a farming ranching couple. I think he's 72, she's 68. Been married 35 years and went and renewed their vows. So all sorts of beautiful and amazing experiences, which, by the way, just on this spiritual piece we were talking about, in that process, he's a pranic healer and has this incredible healing capacity and has leaned into this energetic healing modality that has transformed him, her, and their entire family. It's just been spectacular. So all sorts of beautiful things happen. But again, that's just a process of alignment.
Wow. I had to add epic music because of what's being shared right now.
I was wondering about that.
Like, where's this music coming from? Yeah, I had to add it. Like, this is adding life to lives that are here struggling in some form or other. And that's what a tribal leader does, is it really takes charge of what is possible for their tribes and their communities. And as you said, like, you went on the whole rabbit hole of research, learning from resistance to love to now transforming the lives of people around you. And that's what a true leader does. It doesn't keep it to all themselves, because what good is it if it's not shifting lives?
Well, so I just want to add to that. We salute and honor you as a leader for so many reasons. Your integrity, your true love and care of people. Also this disruptor aspect of it, that leaders, as we see it, are there to toss over the apple cart, to say that this ain't working, what's been going on in this area. So whether it comes to personal development, to making marriages work, to making entrepreneurship work, there's something missing here. So in whatever sector that we're occupying, to toss over the apple cart and say, here's what we're going to do instead. And yes, it's controversial at times. People aren't going to get us. People are going to put all kinds of labels on us. Yet leaders, the ones who really shift lives, stay the course and keep standing. And each day, each month, each year, more lives transform. And that's what we see in you. And just so grateful to have you come to the Abundance Retreat in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I'm going to hang out in San Diego for a little while afterwards, which I'm really excited about as well.
Yes. All right. Anything else, Dr. Mossy Shaw?
No, honestly, people who are intrigued by what we're talking and what's possible to get the breakthroughs in your business, in your life, in your marriages, and also find the alignment, the attunement that is possible. Abundance Retreat is coming up July 15th, and you get to hang out with Jay Fiset. It's like one of the coolest things you can do. Get breakthroughs, hang out with Jay, hang out with Monty and John, and meet amazing people in the course of it.
We look forward to that.
Right. So anyone wants to find out, just DM us directly. Is that the best way?
Yeah, DM us, find us, John Block or Nancy Shah, or even reach out to Jay if you've known him for a long time, and then he can make the intro. And just all you have to say is, we're interested in Abundance Retreat.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then to connect more with you, Jay, what's the best way?
Probably find me on Facebook. Is probably one of the easiest routes. Just check out there, and should we? I was just thinking. I wonder if sharing the fireside chat for people who are curious about. We have a collection of questions and answers just about medicine and those sorts of things. But actually, we'll do that privately. If you're in that spot, which step one, just satisfy your brain, make sure you understand, do the research, make sure you know the science. If you want more education in that domain, you can just reach out to me. We'll send you a little video. There's the top 10 questions that people ask when they're considering utilizing the conscious use of medicine, and it'll help provide a contextual frame of questions to ask, things you should know, because this is beautiful and amazing, and it needs to be done deliberately, intentionally, and clearly. And it's got to be right for you at the right time.
Love it.
Awesome.
Leaders meet people where they're at. Make it an easy way for them to take that next step.
Yes, I love that. Jay is there to support with all of that Q&A, and I'm so excited. So with that being said, Abundant Tribe Leaders Show, this is for leaders who are committed to transforming lives in their community, creating thriving communities. That is their vision and mission. So we are so blessed to have you. Actually, this is the first episode, and we launched it with you. So